Welcome to Packaged Opinions. My name is Garrett King.
Well, I'm Ashley Ornelas.
Very nice. Stuck the landing. 10 out of 10 on that one. Yeah, this is episode 11. We're here to talk about all the latest in consumer goods and how shoppers are shopping and how it might inform decisions for decision makers and consumer goods firms all over the world. Ashley, anything you'd add there? No?
Giving our
Cool.
take on the latest and greatest.
That sounds good. Ultimately, a lot of this comes from a place of us trying to get better at the work we do every day, become better analysts, strategists, marketers, and we want to share that we want to share that so that it can help you too. So first off, let's hit the headlines of what we're going to hit today. Numero uno. Ashley, I want to talk about the chief tractor officer for John Deere, as well as Starbucks Global Coffee Creators, I think is the term. And then I want to talk about a pretty interesting earnings call at the end of the show for Constellation Brands, which has beer brands such as Corona and Modelo, if you were familiar with those two. What about you?
I've got Lululemon's lawsuit, and I'll talk a little bit about their earnings as well, and then the latest and greatest for Nestle and what they're doing with AI.
In this moment, I feel so grateful that I have done no reconnaissance whatsoever on the Lululemon Costco hubbub because now I get to hear you tell me.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, I think, to debate. I'm wondering if it's right, if it's wrong, whatever. So we'll talk about it. It'll be interesting.
Well, let's hit it right off the bat. I mean, unless we've got anything, do we have any preamble? Any personal life stuff? Anything we need to talk about?
Well, how was your 4th?
Really nice. I tell you what, fireworks are super hard on dogs.
Yeah, I had Frank handle it.
It's tough on a little Frank, man. You're a 50-pound English bulldog, and the fireworks are big and they're loud, and he's got those big floppy ears, and it's just, they're radars, man. It's tough. So, do your cats do okay?
Yeah, they're fine.
They're so just nonplussed.
Yeah, they're like, okay, it's nap time.
Fine. Okay, good.
So, but did you guys stay local?
Yes, stuck around in Seattle. Done all this work on this house the last year, so finally trying to enjoy it. And spending quite a bit of time in my yard, which is nice because I have a yard now.
Yeah, adulting.
Grown people stuff. The yard.
A yard.
So
I spent yesterday cleaning my balconies, and I was thrilled about it. So
you got multiple balconies?
I have a big one and a small one.
You do the classical music. It's so fancy. 2 balconies?
Well, one's upstairs, one's downstairs. I don't know.
No big deal. Just double-decker balconies. That's great. Cool.
Yeah, and they were very dirty, so I cleaned them, and then it hailed. So, it was really lovely.
If you don't like the weather in Colorado, just wait 5 minutes.
Wait 5 minutes. I feel good.
Give me the Costco thing.
All right. On June 27th, Lululemon filed a lawsuit against Costco, stating that they were essentially knocking off their products through private label brands like Kirkland and Jockey. They argue that these dupes, we're talking a lot about dupe culture right now, they argue that Costco's dupes are being sold at a fraction of the price, which they are, but that they are causing major disruptions to the marketplace. So the 3 allegations that they have for Costco is one, the biggest one is that it hinges on trade dress and design patent infringement, which I think is really interesting. So they're essentially saying that Costco's products mimic the patent design elements that Lululemon has, which they probably do. We know that. The second allegation that they have is that it causes consumer confusion and social media pressure. And I think this is the one that's really interesting that I want to dive into. But then the third allegation is that they have failed to respond to any cease and desist letters, which they've been sending since November of 24. So it's 7 months-ish of letters, and then they've hit them with this lawsuit. What I think is interesting here is the trade dress and design patent infringement that I understand. A lot of companies, not just Costco, do replicate Lululemon attire, athleisure. It's one of the best in the marketplace, one of the largest in the marketplace. And so private label brands do go after them. Don't think that's unique to Costco. But what I think is interesting is that what they're really hanging their hat on is this influencer piece. And I don't know if they have a leg to stand on. So they're saying that influencers are using hashtags like Lululemon dupes or Costco dupes or whatever it may be to amplify the visibility of these knockoff pants, if you will, which reinforces and confuses shoppers into thinking that they're real. That part I don't think is true. So there's this whole idea that it's confusing to shoppers when there is a dupe product and that they can't tell the difference between a real and a fake. I don't know that that part is true, and I don't know that they have a leg to stand on there, so I'm curious what you think. I think personally, the consumer culture around dupes is well known that it's not the actual product. Like, it is well known that you are finding a more affordable option for a premium product. Like, that is the whole idea of dupe culture and the whole idea of private label, I think. And I think I've actually watched a lot of these social media like TikToks and reviews and stuff. In a lot of these, they say they are alike in these ways and they're different in like little minor ways. So, for example, the cap on the end of the shoestring that ties your pants might be different. One's metal, one's plastic, for example. That is their biggest argument, is that social media is causing confusion across brands. And I'm curious what you have to say. Do they have the leg to stand on?
I can't speak to the trade dress piece of it because ultimately that's
You
really
don't know.
complex and I have
Yeah.
no clue. I
Yeah.
will say it doesn't feel very new to me that retailers with their store brands are knocking off branded versions. I mean, name a category, feels like it happens. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that's a retailer in particular that I think has part of their one of their core competencies is having a great private label. I mean, how many other retailers' private labels have popular sweatshirts among Gen Z right now? Like, there's Kirkland sweatshirts surprisingly often out on the street. So it's who they are. I think that's one piece. The social piece, I don't get this at all. Like, if I see the hashtag Lululemon dupe, inherently, what that means is it's not Lululemon. It comes with the dinner. If it's a dupe, you're probably going to get it for a lower price, but you should expect something less as a result. The question with any dupe is going to be like, okay, I'm going to pay less. How much less? And how much worse is the quality? Like, is the trade-off worth it?
I don't get it either. So there's two other parts to this.
Yeah.
On the I don't get it side, Costco is not pushing it as like a Lulu alternative. Costco's not
Yeah.
advertising it. They're getting in trouble for organic social, essentially, which is also interesting. I don't know that there's a difference there between like a paid and unorganic, but it is organic. They have no control over it.
I just think it's too much of a leap.
I do too.
I get that they would make that case, but I think it's too much of a leap.
I do too. So anyway, I think we're both aligned. This one's a stretch. I also
Yeah.
think this opens up a huge can of worms if this actually does anything. I think it just
Yeah.
opens the door for so many more lawsuits in the marketplace, not just for Lulu, not just for Costco, but across the board. I mean, we've talked about this with RH. We've talked about this with a ton of brands.
Walmart, the fake Birkin bag.
Walmart, Big Birkin, exactly.
This seems like I haven't read all of Section 230, but wouldn't Section 230 protect this? Like, you know, if platforms can't be liable for the content that's on their platforms, you know, like, which is like a foundational reason for why social platforms are what they are now. Does that extend to brands? Can Costco be held responsible for influencers out there talking about what you can buy at Costco and it's a good dupe for Lululemon pants? I don't know.
I don't know.
My gut instinct would be no. The waters are muddy on this one. If courts were to pick it up and then rule that Costco or that Lululemon was in the right on this one, I don't know. My gut instinct, if I had to call my shot, is like they'll probably get some traction on the no one's responded to their cease and desist letters for 6 months or what have you. Seems reasonable. And, you know, communicate.
Mm-hmm.
The trade dress piece I can't speak to, but this one, the influencer and social piece,
I think it's a stretch.
yeah, I'm with you.
So then it made me think, like, why? Why are they doing this? Like, I always thought Lulu was doing really well. So I dug in a little bit to their financials. And one, they are doing well. So Q1 2026, which ended in June 1st of 25, their revenue is up 8% year over year, which is pretty impressive, I would say. Their gross margin improved 60 bips. So that's positive for them. And the regional performance across the board is positive. So US is plus 2%, Canada plus 9%, China plus 22%, which I thought was really interesting. And then rest of world plus 17%. So, okay, they're doing well and they're trying to go after this private label business that's supposedly hurting them. Why? And what I found was Q2 2026 and beyond is looking a little rocky. And all of this has to do with tariffs. Their stock just dropped 20% based on some of the tariff predictions that we have. And most of it is that, one, they're going to lose margin. And then two, because of the US being such a large market and the US doing a lot of trade down to private label because of economic pressures, they feel this plus 2% is going to turn negative here pretty soon. So I think it makes sense that they're playing this card to see what they can do to claw back some of the leakage that they have. And it would be interesting to see what happens with their performance for the rest of the year.
They have every right to me to try to protect their brand equity. And if they feel like this is undermining it, I completely get it. But I actually think somebody could make the inverse case that it's not protecting, it's not undermining, but maybe enhancing your brand equity, that it's so valuable, Costco is going to try to dupe it. Just a thought. I don't know. I think you can see both sides. I think your logic checks out and it makes all the sense in the world. They had a nice financial quarter, but all of a sudden they, along with many other manufacturers, are about to run into a bit of a brick wall if they start incurring tariff related costs. My guess is they produce a lot in Asia, probably.
It's actually not that much, and it's in Vietnam.
Okay.
So I think it's just a matter of like how those tariffs shake out. I think it was like 10% to 40%. So it really just depends.
Okay.
Nonetheless, like they're not making improvements in the US, and I think that's their biggest risk right now.
With a market that big as the US, and it's your slowest growing market, moving from +2 to -2 on the US, or say taking a big margin hit there, of course they want to try to protect that. That's totally makes sense.
Yeah. So
what would you do if you were running Lulu's social strategy? Like just like, let's brainstorm. Like, is there anything we could what if we were in the driver's seat?
I think they did something really impressive not that long ago, and I don't know if they're still doing it. And other brands have done this too. Actually, American Eagle did this recently, where they buy back clothes. So like American Eagle, if you bring in any pair of jeans, they will give you some sort of money for it in an incentive to buy American Eagle. And I think Lulu did this temporarily too, like bring in a Lulu dupe and we'll give you X% off. I think there's something there of like, let me tell you, let's try both for a certain amount of time and tell the story around value equation, essentially. Like ours is a stronger product, it's going to last longer, and we'll give you some sort of incentive to come into our brand. That's what I would do. I also think they need to think outside the box when it comes to innovation. Like their innovation right now is just not capturing the marketplace very well, I think, in comparison to some of the competitive brands that they're up against. So they could do a little bit more with innovation, but yeah, I mean, drive trial, get it in the hands of people. That's what I think. And do a huge social campaign, us first dupes. Here's why.
Just looked it up while you pulled this up at a Century City Mall in Los Angeles a couple of years ago, May of 2023. Come in, bring in any pair of leggings, and we'll give you one of ours for free. Now, granted, they probably aren't going to do it to that level, but maybe a discount on their, $100 leggings or what have you. That to me is really interesting because if you're that confident in your product's quality, they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Bring it down to the average dupe price. Like, you don't have to give it away for free. Bring it down slightly and see what happens.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I like that too. In theory, you could create a lot of content could be created on the back of that one.
That's a huge social campaign.
That's a really good idea. Yeah.
What would you do? Anything different?
Not going to come up with anything as good as that. What would I do? That's interesting. Could you do like a hidden camera style thing where you bring real Lululemon product into a Costco store or another place where dupes are popular and see if you could get people to notice the difference and then ask them some questions? I don't know.
I like that. I also, I envision like a try-on situation. Like you have a person that's telling you to try on 2 different pairs of pants and then asking you your perspective on which ones feel better in the moment.
Yeah. One other one that you just made me think of, like the compare contrast. Do you know the laundry detergent Woolite? It's for delicate clothing. Like that's their thing. Like they have Woolite for delicates, and then they have Woolite Darks, which is great for dark denim, blacks, etc., to make those those clothes keep their hue longer. They did a campaign in like the turn of like 2011, 2012, something like that with Rob Zombie, which is a real interesting choice for a laundry detergent brand. But what they did is they basically made it about like regular detergent is torture on your clothes, and let us show you the difference of 50 washes with Woolite, 50 washes with detergent X. And you can tell the difference is like a baby blue cashmere sweater or something. My guess is the product quality on a pair of leggings that's 1/5 the price of a Lululemon is probably not as good. Like I bet you it's a lot of polyester. So maybe they could do something like that too.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't know.
There's something there for sure.
This is a good one. Let's keep an eye on this one. So we've got our bets made on what pieces of the suit will and won't go forward. You want to hit the AI thing? You want me to do one of mine?
Oh, I can do AI really quick. It's just going to
Yeah.
be super high level. What I
Okay.
found interesting, so Nestle is looking at automating a lot of their packaging efforts right now, leveraging AI, and they're doing it on focusing reducing plastics while identifying recyclable materials. So Nestle already has a really large department focused on AI. It's a really big priority for them. They're using it in the same ways that a lot of companies are using it. So like testing innovation creating content, etc. But them getting into packaging is like getting into a science realm. So it's essentially just taking all the materials for packaging, and identifying what's higher cost, what's lower cost, how do they work together, and how do they create something that still has the efficacy of their product, so holds their product appropriately, is received well by consumers, but obviously costs less and is better for the environment. So they've built this entire new science AI model to support this effort. And I just think they are really pushing the boundaries and doing something unique. I haven't heard of any CPG company as of yet, and not to say that there isn't any, but as of yet, who have taken it this far. Again, a lot of companies are using it in the easy ways and the predictable ways, but stepping into science and packaging, I think, is fascinating.
Interesting. Now, are they using it like more for testing visuals on packaging, or is it solely just materials, like for cost savings?
Materials, yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
for cost savings and recyclability,
Okay. Which is another
sustainability
big one.
efforts.
Okay. We're going to keep seeing all these new use cases crop up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of companies have these sustainability efforts, be fully recyclable by 2025, 2030. I think AI can get you there.
It's probably going to need to. We have a lot of companies put out aggressive sustainability targets, 2025, 2030, centering it around round numbered years. I think we have a couple of examples where that's harder to hit. You know what I mean? You have one of the largest retailers in America that wanted to get rid of plastic bags, I think by 2025, and like it's not going to happen. There are other examples too. Yeah, they're going to need every advantage they can get because it's hard to do those things, which is why they haven't been done yet.
Yeah. And it takes a long time ideating on new ideas and then testing them. So if you can eliminate the idea piece and you just have the test piece.
Yeah, it's a good point. Okay. Yeah, that's Phil. Every one of these episodes, you will probably be able to find something related to an interesting application for this technology. It's not going to stop. So,
It's not going to stop. So next week I'll come with another one. But that was Nestle's for this week.
very good. Okay, good
Yeah.
stuff there.
Good.
Let me talk about the chief tractor officer and the global coffee creator.
I love these names. Let's do
It's
it.
good, right? Chief tractor
Yeah.
officer is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the story. And this piggybacks off something I think you talked about last week or the week before. But basically, we're starting to get more and more instances of very large, recognizable brands deploying real meaningful money into hiring somebody to be a creator in-house every day, signaling that social is becoming more and more a core part of their strategy of how brands try to reach consumers every day. So, number one, the chief tractor officer at John Deere will get paid $175,000 over the course of a 12-month job. It's a full-time position, but it's contract, so it's only 1 year, and it's to make content about their portfolio and how they make their products, etc. And this person will travel the country. It's a nice young man named Rex who is going to be taking this job for the first time. So he's got a big mop of curly hair, and let's see what he does. But
Wait, is
it's
Rex
for
a
real.
farmer? I need to know. What are the
Let's find
prerequisites
out.
of this job?
Yeah, the prerequisites. Okay, let's see. Rex Curtis, Chief Tractor Officer. They just launched a new TikTok channel. He's going to be in charge of it. Let's see. He is a recent college grad in environmental studies, so it doesn't look, and he comes from a family of fourth generation farmers.
Figured you had to be prereq.
Yeah, exactly. So he does have agriculture in his background. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. I think that's really interesting. Not to be outdone, Starbucks is doing not one, but two of these global coffee creators. They're sourcing one internally from an existing Starbucks employee, and they're looking for one out from outside. The application process is 2 stages. One, you got to make a TikTok video about why you, and then 2, you have to fill out the application, which is wild that that's the application process, but it totally makes sense. But their job is to travel around the world for a year and document Starbucks, go to their roasteries in Costa Rica or their coffee farm in Costa Rica, roasteries in Milan, and coffee houses in Tokyo. It's a paid job. It's full time. It's 12 months long, and it is all travel expenses are covered courtesy of Delta Airlines and Marriott Bonvoy. So if you like coffee and you like traveling and you're good at making videos, hey, this is a thing for somebody. And they should have hired it by now. They closed the applications in mid-June, so we are too late. But I think what's really interesting is that we are continuing to get more and more indications that two things are happening. One, like I said, social is becoming more a part of these strategies. And two, big brands are taking control of it themselves rather than outsourcing it to traditional experts.
I
And I don't
couldn't
think it's
agree
going to
more.
stop.
No, it's not going to stop. I couldn't agree more. I think we talked about this as a couple episodes ago when we were talking about like what's trending for year to date in marketing, and hiring in-house social creators that relate really well to your brand is a strategy that's being deployed. And I think to your point, they have more control. There's cost efficiency there. But I think the biggest part is the connection with their community. Like they're essentially building a community, and the way to do that is to tap into people who are most passionate about it. So it's smart.
I think it is too. And I think it is too. And it makes me wonder. We're seeing more about AI influencers, completely computer generated, sort of lifelike people. And I want to get your thoughts. Like, do you think this is a flash in the pan and that 5 years from now, no one's going to hire a chief tractor officer because it's going to be artificial intelligence? Or do you think on the flip side, no, this type of thing is going to be needed more than ever because the market will appreciate real people and real creators more than ever because there's going to be a lot of fake out there? What's your gut tell you?
I think in anything that is like human interaction or related to emotions and purchasing, I think it'll have to be real people. I don't think we'll go AI. I actually think leaning into like fighting AI is going to give you a benefit. I just saw recently Dove's commercial won pretty high award at Cannes for their anti-AI campaign, which was focusing on beauty, beautiful women, like what does beauty look like for you, and bringing community and people into that campaign. So I think it's only going to get bigger. And I think people are scared of AI and they'll do anything to fight against it, personally.
Man, what an interesting like to be drawn. If we're not going to use AI in our campaigns, and you have other companies like H&M, which are licensing models' likenesses to do artificial intelligence versions of them so they can be in more clothing advertisements. And it's two totally different strategies.
It is totally different strategies.
Let's see where it
And
goes.
maybe it has a lot to do with demographics. Like, who is the buyer, the demographic you're going after? Maybe someone who's in John Deere is more likely to be anti-AI, and someone in H&M or like a younger generation is more embracing of AI and technology. I don't know. It might be a generational thing.
It could be generational. I also start to wonder, as you were saying that, it makes me think, could it be price and emotion driven? I.e., it's hard to have an emotional connection to H&M.
Fair. Mm-hmm.
Much easier to have an emotional connection to John Deere or Dove, whatever it is. I would
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
they tell better stories.
I even think Starbucks. I mean, right now they're trying to get that connection back, right? With like writing on the cups and all the other things that they're doing to try and
Yeah,
engage their community again. So I agree. I think anything that's emotional needs to be done with emotion.
I agree. Yeah, there will be select use cases where it'll work, and there will be select where I think it doesn't. So, okay, all right,
And that's not to
good.
say AI goes away. I think it still plays a huge role, just
I
different.
do too. Yeah, it'll it'll find its way, and it'll be very big, but it won't take over everything, I guess is probably where you're going with that, and I tend to agree.
Yeah. So this chief tractor officer, is that what it is?
Huh?
So I saw a TikTok campaign for John Deere recently, and this is probably where it started. The idea started, I imagine, but it was someone's son, like it was like a young kid in the headquarter office sitting at the front desk, like the reception desk. And he would stop employees that came in and like ask them questions about the brand. And then, like, if they got it right, he'd let them through. And if he didn't, he gave them a hard time. And so it was funny. Or he would ask people, like, what's your favorite tractor? And then he'd be like, yeah, that's mine too. Here's why it's my favorite tractor. But it was just this little kid just sitting behind the desk,
How
challenging
old was this kid?
associates as they came in. I mean, he was probably 10.
Okay, so he's not Rex, the chief tractor officer.
No, 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 no. He was
Okay,
definitely like someone's son.
a child. Yeah.
A child. Yeah, he was a child. And it was funny. It was
Okay.
a really funny campaign. And he called himself the chief tractor officer. So I'm curious if that's how the idea started.
Wow.
But it was fun to watch on TikTok. I laughed.
Switch gears. I want to hit our third earnings call in this new series. I want to talk about Constellation brands.
Alcohol. Let's do it.
Big beer business, wine and spirits. So let's talk about the good first. Their beer business is gaining share. Brands like Modelo, Corona, and Pacifico are really helping as they are growing 2% faster than the category as measured by Circana. Within their portfolio, 6 of the top 15 brands that are gaining share of the beer category sit in their portfolio. And think about this. I feel like the beer market's changed so much. Modelo is the number one beer in America, has been for the last couple of years. Corona is in the top five, and Pacifico is one of the fastest growing beers in terms of market share. It's just so different, you know? You always think about like Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I always perceived it, but the numbers don't bear it out. And that's about where the good ends. And then we get to the bad. But let's talk about the bad. Wine and spirits sales, net sales are down 21% after you factor out divesting the Svedka business, the vodka brand that they apparently recently just sold. So if you included it, that would be down even further. Their operating margin on the wine and spirits business went from 15% to negative 2% year over year. And when you aggregate the beer business and the wine and spirits business, their organic net sales is down 4%. Operating income is down 11%. In addition, I'm by no means a Wall Street expert, but anytime I see trends like that and a share buyback of $381 million worth of open shares through June 2025, that to me looks like a move to keep the share price elevated. And whenever you see that much cash getting deployed into buying back shares, couldn't you use that for R&D or better marketing or what have you? Because then I've got what the CEO said and what the CFO said, because I think there's some interesting stuff in there.
Oh yeah, I just want to keep going.
Okay, cool. All right. From the CEO, while we continue to face softer consumer demand, largely driven by what we believe to be non-structural socioeconomic factors, that's the interesting one I want to come back to. Our teams remain focused on executing the key initiatives that underpin the outlook we recently provided for fiscal 26 to 28. Then he talks about some share gains, etc. Then let me tell you what the CFO said. This is classic CFO. Our cash flow generation enabled us to remain at our 3 times comparable net leverage and 30% dividend payout ratio targets while continuing to advance our modular brewery investments and returning over $300 million to shareholders in share repurchases in the first quarter of fiscal 2026. As we look towards the remainder of the year, annual operating cash flow and free cash flow expectations are unchanged, and we remain committed to deploying that cash in line with our balanced and consistent capital allocation priorities.
That's a PR statement. I never heard one.
I got some thoughts. You got any?
I'm ready. I want to hear yours.
All right. So to me, I think I see two things here. One, the CEO saying we think our softness in demand is driven by non-structural socioeconomic factors. To me, what I think that means is he's saying it's temporary, or he's not calling out that there are structural changes in the amount of drinking that the global population is doing. If it was structural, it would mean something is really changing for the long term. By saying non-structural, I think he's signaling that we don't think this is going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's interesting right from the start, because I think you and I are both on record as being very in the camp of the beverage business, or the alcoholic beverage business is headed for a rough patch based on wellness trends, self-care trends among Gen Z, etc.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, sober movement has been that for a while now.
It's very real. And so I have a little bit of skepticism when I see non-structural. Now, I do have an interesting survey that I want to hit in a minute after this, which may put a little bit of cold water on our stance. But
Okay.
then I see this thing from the CFO, and I look at this, and this strikes me as a company. And again, I mean, I haven't done this for very long. This is week 3, but this strikes me as a company that doesn't have enough good ideas on deck that they could deploy R&D dollars into. Doesn't feel like marketing dollars are going to drive growth. And so instead, they're just giving it back to the shareholders. They're out of ideas.
Which I think is an interesting thought, because their marketing, I mean, Corona's marketing campaigns have done so much for them over the years. So it's interesting that they wouldn't be taking that approach, or that you think that they don't feel marketing will do much for them just because they are so good at it.
I think so too. I feel Modelo's approach over the last 5 years with the Mark of a Fighter ad campaign with the Western Ecstasy of Gold song on the background and all the stadium sponsorships they've done. I mean, they have the most beautiful lounge in Climate Pledge Arena here in Seattle. Like, it's crazy. And it's wild that it's Modelo. You would think of it as another brand, but here they are. So I think the same. I find their marketing to be extremely effective. Maybe the numbers to them tell them something different. I don't know.
I wonder, what does the category look like for, I mean, obviously beer is growing, but spirits, is the
Well,
category declining?
well, NA beer is really healthy and on a nice growth clip, but spirits, wine, and alcoholic beer are all in structural decline. Like every single one of them. Like these guys, their beer business declined this quarter, and they were still gaining share because the category was declining faster. So they're beating the
Mm,
box.
I see.
Yeah, but anyway, let me just call out a study that basically completely refutes my whole stance on this thing, and then let's talk about whether
Okay.
we buy it or not, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so there's a study, a consumer insights firm called BevTrack that does a survey twice a year of more than 26,000 respondents across 15 global markets like US, UK, Australia, Canada, Brazil, etc. In a recent BevTrack survey, Gen Z was the number one most likely generation to say yes to the question, I am actively choosing to drink more, versus that same survey question 2 years ago. 66% of Gen Z said yes in March of 2023. 73%, or excuse me, 66% of Gen Z survey respondents in March 2023 said, I've drank in the last 6 months. 73% said yes in March of 2025, 700 basis point increase. And that was the largest of any generational demographic group. Some talking points from the COO of Consumer Insights for BevTrack's parent company, IWSR. One, the data shows that while moderation is a growing trend across all generations, the idea that Gen Z legal drinking age drinkers are choosing to moderate more significantly than other generations doesn't hold up. Legal drinking age drinkers among Gen Z may not be especially prone to moderation compared to other generations, but moderation is still a growing trend. Adults of all ages are choosing to drink less, and when they do drink, they want a more interesting experience. This means innovation will become even more essential, and beverage alcohol may become much more subject to changing trends, the same way the fashion industry is. Responding to quickly changing consumer preferences is fairly straightforward for beer and ready to drink beverages, but it's going to be way harder for spirits and wine, which have longer production cycles, which I thought was
Mm-hmm.
really interesting.
Makes sense. It makes sense that innovation is key. I just don't know if I buy this whole we're consuming more alcohol. Yeah, it's the only thing that I am debating in my head is that we are being intentional about experiences, getting outside, being with community, things like that. And so I don't know if that is encouraging more drinking. But what I've always heard and what I've always read in every consumer report would say that we are declining our consumption of alcohol. I mean, the trend right now is 10 a.m. raves for coffee. Like, we're not drinking,
So
we're
odd.
changing
Yeah.
that into a morning rave. So I don't understand.
I tend to side with you on this one. I'm not ready to say that this is a trend change. One other thing I read recently that two other small things that I read recently, just like little data points in the back of my mind. And like, let's watch this. I'm still in the camp that you are. This is a decline, and it may be a while before it bucks. One of the fastest growing beers among all age demographics is Michelob Ultra, like the lightest, most low key, low carbs, basically sports beer that you could possibly buy in the States. It's
Is it a
yeah,
calorie
yeah,
consumption thing
yeah,
play?
definitely. So they are seeing nice growth rates. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, and this is going to take longer to play out. Like we'll have to talk about this in an episode in 5 years or something, So like we'll see what happens. But Gen Z has more money now than they probably did 2 or 3 years ago. Like they are reaching up as they age,
Mm-hmm.
their socioeconomic status in general. You know what I mean? They're maturing, got a little more money in their pockets. Does that change this at all? I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, you're still tried and true with the brands that you love and you grew up with, so I don't think it really has much to do with the dollars in your pocket, but maybe. But I don't know. So okay, if you're them, what do you do to try and turn this around?
If it's me, I'm going to try to build the best damn non-alcoholic beverage unit that I possibly can. And I'm going to acquire small firms out there. Like I just bought one last week from a small non-alcoholic brand from Tucson called Parch, Parch. $16 for a 4 pack. So like not cheap, but it was this really good 70 calorie spiced piñarita, pineapple, cayenne, agave. It was awesome, like really good. There's really creative stuff happening in the NA space. And if it was me, I'd go on an acquisition run of small firms and just make small bets on the poker table and see what happens. And I would be betting that it's going to work. And yeah, that's what I would do.
If they took this money out of buying box stocks and they did an acquisition,
Mhm.
what do you think happens to their market value?
To me, Simon Sinek, again, I'm no Wall Street expert, but I think that writer Simon Sinek, Start With Why, one of the things that I really liked that he once wrote was that price is a manipulation. And so when you price promote a product, you will achieve a result. But it doesn't inspire loyalty or brand equity or people believing in that brand or resonance with the story, etc. It's a short-term hit, morphine. And I tend to think about share buybacks, again, no stock trader, as this is a short-term move to make a number look better on a spreadsheet. Whereas it's not going to make you a better company long term, I don't think. Like, it doesn't make you more competitive. It doesn't help you gain market share. And to me, like, if you're in the consumer goods space, your North Star, maybe not in every case, but in most cases, should be compete. And I would think that good things will follow. Again, I bet there's CFOs out there that would pound the table and say that's not the right move, but like, go win and offer things that people love. And you're probably going to be in, good things will happen, would be my reco. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with you, and we've had conversations before. If you're a CFO, you want immediate impact, right? You want the best outcome for the now. If you're a CMO, you're like thinking long term because you're right. You're giving up the long term growth for the band-aid on the problem, I guess, right now. And I think a lot of companies are doing that, or a lot of companies right now are struggling to find the balance between short-term and long-term growth, especially in a challenging economic environment. So
in general, I completely agree with you. Challenging economic environment. And it just makes me think when I walk into a supermarket and I see somebody tried something new, like I just feel good about it. And I feel in general, I want chief research and development officers to have more of a voice, like in our general consumer goods channel. Like, can we give R&D more of a platform? We need to be bringing cool new things to the table at a higher clip. Mustard Doritos totally grosses me out, but it got me talking about it. You know what I mean? And that's not even like really innovation. Like,
I had spicy dill pickle chips, kettle chips the other day, and I was like, these are amazing.
that sounds awesome. Like,
Yeah.
if it was me running some big CPG, I want our teams trying at an aggressive clip and knowing that we're going to have some failures. So,
Knowing you get a lower return on investment,
yeah,
immediate.
yeah, I do. And you have to structure your business to be okay with that, which is not always easy. But yeah, I think
You have
I
to find
want
people to bet on you
you do. Easier
for
said
the
than
long
done.
term, because that's what it is, right? It's like invest in innovation, invest in marketing, community, social. All of that is going to have probably a short-term ROI hit, but a long-term.
I want to build businesses and I want my peer set to build businesses that focuses on like, let's plant trees that we're not necessarily going to get to sit under the shade of, you know what I mean? And recognize that not all of them are going to survive. And again, easier said than done. Like, we're here to hit a number. I know, but yeah, I think there needs to be some weight put towards that. And when I see a move like this share buyback, it just makes me feel like you could have done something cool with $300+ million or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's an easy out.
Yep. So anyway, do we have anything else today? We're done, right?
We're done. Yeah,
Okay, very good. Nice work today. That was fun.
it is fun.
And it's fun putting takes on paper, right? And because
Mhm.
we'll get to see, are we right? Are we wrong? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. What if Gen Z single-handedly digs the beer business out of the ditch? You know, like, we'll have to talk about it.
Have to eat my words for sure.
Yeah, but you know what? I tend to look. I said it's possible, but I still tend to believe what you believe.
And I'm willing to be wrong, but I
Yeah.
just don't think I am. I'm just
Gen Z
kidding.
might wake up to how good an ice cold Coors Light is.
Yeah, they might. They
Yeah,
might.
man. Or they might not.
One thing you did not do, and I almost did your homework for you.
No, I still owe you Oreos. Golly.
Yes. And
This is
when I see something innovating in the marketplace, I get excited. Like Oreo is the number one innovator.
yeah, that's the perfect brand. Okay, I know we're doing another episode later this week. Oreos is my
Yeah.
topic. I'm in big trouble if I don't do it. All right. Well, we'll hit that next one in a couple of days. I think this is episode 11. On behalf of Package Opinions, my name is Gary King.
Ashley Ornelas.
Very good. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you for listening, and please weigh in with any feedback in the comments. Thank you.
Thanks.